We just got to Monticello. I feel...
I don't feel good. I don't like it.
We started going up the hill even more, and then it was just, like, I feel it here. I want to cry and throw up at the same time.
I just want to cry. I want to throw up. I feel a pulse, like, here in my head. My chest feels heavy. I feel like I can't breathe.
So I'm going to do some better shielding, because already Rupert was like, did you shield? And I'm like,
It's going to be a rough one. It's going to be a rough one.
Yeah, spiritualists going to historic sites of great problems. We did the thing that we should have done at the beginning. Did we go up there? I think we go up there. Let's go up the stairs. Let's see what happens.
All right.
Our guides have shown up. Cool. Okay. So, house, mountains. I would like to say the staff have all been very kind.
Yes, they have.
Super nice people.
Mm-hmm.
We have a map. We're gonna do multiple tours.
Mm-hmm. And then we've got a place we gotta stop before we leave.
Mm-hmm. I just want to cry.
Ugh.
Like, I still just want to cry. So I was just saying, I'm not even like, it's hard to tap into specific people, but I feel like there are folks around. Like, what were you saying?
You don't have to really tap in. They're everywhere, but they're very avoidant. And I'm not trying to push or press. I'm just here to feel it and experience it.
These views, though.
This is hard. This is hard.
This is the ice house.
You almost can't see the bottom when you're looking right into it.
Yeah. There's the back of the house. Here we are. Beautiful day. I may have just spoken with Thomas Jefferson's wife. She didn't say so, but there was like this very
Air of head of household kind of vibe.
Yeah.
And we're witches.
yeah, that's what was said. And what was it? Because can you relay what you were talking about? Like, basically you came out here and you made a call.
I did. I just wanted them to know why we were here and what we were doing and what it was that we didn't care about. And they were like, they all say that.
And you were mentioning too, it's like we're here to, as practitioners and responsible spiritualists, it's like we're here to just see how things are going, learn what we can, and help if we can. But you know, it's not always the objective of being like, oh, we are here to help.
This is one of those times where you would evaluate if you should make that effort, because if they don't want to, don't force it.
And up here on the hill, it's comfortable, weirdly. Like, it feels like unsettled, but it's not like when we first got onto the property.
I would imagine it's going to depend on what areas of the grounds we're in.
Yes, for sure.
And what the function of that area was to how it's going to feel.
Though it does seem up here, the spiritual activity is lucid. I mean, it's present. It's very much like, but there's also the representative of like, I'm going to appear in the way that I would have appeared because you're here to see that. You know, that kind of...
It's like a show. This is what we do. This is who we are. We arrive. This is what you expect.
And we're taking a tour. And so, yeah, it's very much that.
Yeah.
So this is going to be interesting.
This is going to be...
We're about to take the tour.
Very interesting. Oh, buddy. The spiritual breakup is like oil and water. I'm trying to get to the water, but the oil is too thick to get through. It's like by design.
I feel that way too. It's very like, I want to root and see what's down there, but I
don't want to push and make things upset. I don't want to mix the oil and water together. I want them to stay separated enough so that I could just get through it. But that's not what's gonna happen if I try.
So, update on the guys. Rupert is super guarded right now. It's uncomfortable. His energy, and it's like wall. And you were saying
Arnold is just, he's kind of hanging back, and he's just about as guarded.
Yeah.
He's prepared for the worst.
Yeah.
Hoping for the best.
/ we were just trailed just now by the lady. And then you backed her off.
I'm good at my job.
You just mentioned feeling acclimated. It took about 30 minutes. But that's important, right?
It's settled, so now I don't feel so resisting. Like, I don't feel that pushback of like, what are you doing here? But I am collecting myself to go in the house right now, because that's going to be a whole different vibe. A whole different vibe.
We're waiting for the tour.
Waiting for the tour.
Oh, I love that. Great.
He also had his study and then his bedchamber where we'll go next. So this were his private suites. If you were a visitor to this house, you never would have been invited to come back. 5 years in France, decided he wanted to incorporate them in his house. So he loved the way that it brought the natural light into the space. Now this alcove, also a French idea. And underneath the floorboard is a bicycle chain mechanism, which attaches the left door to the right. So when you pull this door, the other one automatically closes.
Oh, okay, because I was like, the name is familiar.
I'd have to check to see, but it looks just like him.
Come on in. Well, what's the first thing you notice about this room? We come back to that France piece again. So when Jefferson, those 5 years, and
You have seltzer. I have cider. We just got out of the tour.
It's such a glamour of beauty and opulence.
The thing that kept riding in the back of my mind was fake. Like, obviously everything is real, but it's like when you try so hard, we're being listened to. When you try so hard to appear as something.
Just prim, proper, the epitome of society of the time.
And in France, just to be like, France.
Wine. It comes out of my fireplace.
I designed this house.
Look at these beautiful paintings that I've collected. Oh, the light that comes into this room just brightens it up so well. Look at my bed.
/ I think I figured it out. The woman that I was picking up on earlier, I think that's Thomas Jefferson's daughter, because she lived here and she took care of the home for a long time, whereas her Thomas Jefferson's wife, they're both named Martha. Martha wasn't here that long. If she is here, I feel like she's undercover. But the other Martha that I ran into out in the yard, which that would be where family and friends would have been received, which we found out on the tour. So it made sense that she was out there. But even though she didn't confirm, because I'm not a friend, I guess, and she didn't like us because we're witches. I'm not even like.
I look more like a witch than you do.
Yeah, I just rolled in. I don't know. I think that was her, but I'll be real, I was having trouble getting acclimated throughout, because it's like each room, all the things in the room, some of them are original from the home and some of them have been brought in, so they've got their own energy. There's just so much going on.
They have replicas of indigenous artifacts that were brought in but are made by the same tribes that they re-brought in, and then that threw me off the moment I walked in the door.
The antlers did it for me. I don't know why. I mean, it's not just like I'm a vegetarian. No, it was like there's something about them. There was one from Lewis and Clark expedition, which
the
it
map
wasn't
that
one,
was
it was like next to it.
drawn into animal skin, and then the paintings on the animal skin that were hanging over that banister. That just.
So there's a second floor that you can only access through ladders, so it was just for like,
it's for show.
yeah,
It's all for show. And it was interesting feeling like so just disconnected from what was happening around me, because I'm just looking at everything and hearing talking. And then I felt just out of nowhere the eyes watching as we were walking around. And then I saw something up in this little like window hole in the upper area, and
which
it
would have
looked
been the closet, originally only accessible by
ladder.
Yeah, and by the butler who was
right.
enslaved.
And then I just saw a face just looking down at me, and I was like, I was like, why are you looking at me? It was, it's a weird experience. It's so disconnected. Like, everybody has places that they're supposed to be and go, and they don't come farther than the lawn. And then that's where they stay. They stay by the house, and they stay on the lawn. And now we're going to venture out into the actual grounds more.
Rupert used particular words because I checked in with him, and you were here. You were there at the time when the words were used. No, this was a reenactment. But anyway, I checked in, and I was just like, what do you think about this? What do you think about Jefferson and stuff? And he just sort of looked around, and he's like, this is his sanctuary. That's what George said. When George didn't leave, it was his sanctuary. Now, granted, I used to do ghost tours in DC, and supposedly Jefferson haunts his library in the Jefferson Library, which is a part of the, National Archives. No, not the Gash. I used to live there. Wow. The Library of Congress. Which, I mean, yeah, I could see him checking in. I mean, it's basically a piece of home out there. But, I would love to hear that quote that you told me. Oh no! No quotes.
All right. Obviously, that's a sign.
You have to give the quote now.
So we were when I was walking through there. As one point, we were moving from through the bedroom into the dining area. And I'd heard a male's voice that is, I can't remember exactly what it said because I'm so like, my head hurts a little bit.
What?
But it was, he had mentioned about, aren't you enchanted with my home?
It was like, dang it, because it was so good.
It was so good.
People don't speak like that. That's why I was like,
yeah,
audience.
I'm trying, hold on, let me try to focus in real quick to remember exactly what it said. Oh, darn. I had
something
it.
Like, greatly aren't you impressed?
Oh, greatly are you not impressed with my enchanting home? And no. And then I heard another one is, you are to be gone from me. I heard a lot of talking throughout, but they weren't talking to me. They were talking to each other. And at some points when I'd hear it, there was just that, and then wait till I wasn't paying attention anymore.
We're actually going to go see a professional reenactor of, I was just like, a professional reenactor.
Yeah, I wanted to see, because they say it's like Thomas Jefferson came back to life, and it's like he acts just like him. I don't know how
channeling him.
How would you know,
what
though?
If he's a medium?
What if he's like
channeling Jefferson?
He calls on Thomas Jefferson, and he goes, "Good day to you all. On this fine November afternoon, I am Thomas Jefferson." and also the comment when they were talking about him religiously, and he was like, "You just get it. Like there is no like belief there." And he fought really hard for religious freedom, so that kind of makes sense. Also, there's a pond outside in the one lawn, and I was like, this is a scrying pond. He was a witch. Fight me.
Yeah, we are going to go take the Slavery at Monticello tour. And one thing I did want to note, too, while the history is truly horrific on some of the things that happened here, What I do appreciate is the tour talks about it, and not in a triggering way. It's a very very pointed and just straight facts.
They're
sort of
thoughtful
way.
with their wording.
Yes, they are.
There's that moment of correction you see when they're speaking, where they are saying it in the way that it should be said, instead of the way that they were originally taught how to say everything. So I appreciated that.
Especially as it looks like everybody is white here. I feel like a lot of people who are big on American history need to hear other history besides white history. Because we know white history. And I know at Monticello they told the white history for the most part. Most of the time it's been open, and they came under fire for that not too many years ago, and they actively started making changes, and clearly the changes have come through, and they're doing a lot of research as well. So it's weird to say I'm not looking forward to going on that tour, because it's wrong to be like, yeah, but like to see the preservation of history that they have done, that is necessary. Which, okay, it brings me to another point. Places like this, do you think they should be preserved? Right?
So some things should not be remembered, and other things always should be remembered. A place like this is a testament to how much more there is than just a beautiful home on the top of a hill. Everything they've preserved around it is paramount to the history of why this place even exists in the first place. And to take that away, to say we don't want to show this part, or we can't talk about this because it makes people uncomfortable or it's upsetting, that's doing history a disservice and the people a disservice.
History is upsetting. That's why we celebrate the things that are less upsetting, because there's more upsetting things. I mean, that's just really the reality.
There's also a testament to don't forget.
Yeah.
Don't forget what it took, what was endured, and what was suffered for it.
So, yeah, it's a weird thing to appreciate history and to like feeling like I'm stepping back in time. But at the same time, some places like this, I'm kind of like, what if it was turned into a park? You know, like, what if it was open to everybody? And like, yes, it's public, $42, and you have a day pass.
And it's going to take a while, so utilize that if that's your choice to come up here. There's a lot of things that are going on. There's a lot to see. Give yourself that time to really explore it. You get a lot of free downtime to do it on your own, so you don't constantly have someone explaining it to you. You have the opportunity to read it for yourself and take it in yourself.
Yeah, I think too, for $42 we're
getting a lot.
A reenactment experience, access to the grounds, 2 tours, and 3 if it were the garden tour that were open during the summer.
Yes, I imagine this place looks green and lush in the summer, and it's a whole different vibe out here. But as the seasons change, so does the energy of things. But I generally think the energy is probably just about like that.
It's kind of hunkered down right now.
Yeah.
And I imagine in the middle of the summer, there's still that kind of hunkered down feeling, but it's different because it's almost like
food. Well, yeah, but there's also like that performance aspect of welcome to my home. Well, I have greeted you. I wonder how many they actually, like, tourists actually walk with, because I'm sure they do. They definitely did not do that with us, but rightfully so, because I would have been like...
Also, I do appreciate that they were like, Thomas Jefferson was 6'2.5" or something, and I was like, Rupert's taller. It was the same thing with George Washington, who was 6'2", I believe, and the immediate reaction to this were from Rupert, it was like a smirk, and he's like, I'm taller.
And then Arnold was like, I could square up.
I believe it. I believe it. He doesn't need to. He's just fine at his height. Like, I don't know what it is about, like, people looking down at people. Maybe that's because I can only look down at children.
I am glad I'm at least past the point of feeling like I'm going to vomit. That took a while to get past. But in the house, You know how when you stare at a screen for too long and your eyes start to hurt because you're just looking at brightness? My eyes hurt after walking through that place. Like I was staring at
a little bit, and my
it's like right in my eyes, and I feel like my eyes were assaulted with lights. We do this for you. Maybe it's my eyes, but I feel like there's like a mist in there.
filming.
I heard like a grumble.
You know what's funny? I see it like through the camera.
It's like
but
a
not necessarily.
haziness. It's weird.
Yeah. We just watched a short presentation on Sally Hemmings.
I have a headache.
And I feel sick.
I feel sad and frustrated.
Was that where she lived?
I think so.
In there with
They
her
said
children?
that was her room. And for the longest time, I don't see it now. I'm not 100% because I remember reading that they discovered her room.
Mm.
And if I remember correctly, it wasn't so far that he had to go to get to her. So.
Yeah, because these would have been slave quarters. Some like the cook and those higher-end staff, basically.
Because they had found a sealed room in Monticello, if I recall correctly.
I think that's where they met.
And they were like,
Yeah.
This is where she stayed. But I may be incorrect on that. I would have to check and look and see. But yeah, no, the way that it breaks down, in if you look at the items in the visitor center, they have books, and there is a version of what people think happened, and it's not correct.
Well, it's like, oh, she was treated well. She was enslaved.
It was really love.
She was never freed. And she had a chance to have her freedom in France because she was staying with him over there. And she came back so that her children could be free. And they were able to be free by the time they were 21. So they still had to work up until they were 21.
Yep.
And she never got her freedom. And her grave is unmarked. No one knows where it is. And I just wonder how many other people, like, it's a lot. It's a very good presentation, very simple.
It's very simple but poignant and impactful.
And it was written by one of her descendants, right?
Right.
It's just
son.
quotations. Yep.
It's written by her son. And it doesn't seem as though he speaks with much fondness.
This is part of the oral history project. Her descendants.
Precursor of the NAACP. It's been over 25 years since the Getting Word Project began, and participants have started taking the lead on seeking out their family history. Some descendants are even reconnecting with branches of their family separated long ago because of slavery. New people who are still discovering their ancestral roots in Monticello are being welcomed with open arms.
You don't know who you are until you know where you came from. I felt more pride in my ancestors. I felt stronger. I felt that what they did just shows their strength of character. It gave them some humanity that I have still been missing.
We just saw, he's a lovely man. He does Thomas Jefferson reenactments, and he gave us speeches and answered questions for like 30 minutes from a small group. And Thomas Jefferson was watching.
He was in the one window. I could see him. You can't miss him. He's very tall. And it was just this, like, he doesn't even look like me. And then at some point,
He's such
there
a
was
friendly man.
parts of the
like
conversation
the actor.
where it's moving, and he just went, and then walked away from the windows.
Such sass.
He's a sass.
Sass.
Oh my goodness.
And that's what I hate is like that man clearly does reenactments because he loves it. He loves the history. He knows all about Thomas Jefferson, like up and down. And I'm just like, sir, it is an actor's portrayal.
There is not a question you would ask that actor that he would not know the answer to.
Yeah.
I guarantee it.
He was so good. And
And he took a picture.
he took a picture.
We both were like, we have no idea how to react to this moment.
Wait. I didn't know when the picture was going to be taken, so I just did that. Is that the only picture you have?
I have a bigger picture.
That's okay. Focus. There. Oh, cool. Yeah, I'm just like, I don't know what's going on. Yep.
Apparently that man, I was smiling at some point and I was like, should I be? And he didn't take a single picture during that point from where
No.
Yeah.
No.
They need to have volunteers who know how phones work to take the pictures, because he's like, I don't know what I'm doing. I press the button. I was like, sir, you're on record. Oh.
He was really nice about it. Like, everybody that works here is super nice.
Oh yeah, no. He's very nice. I'm very it's kind of a nice little refresh from the heaviness that we've been feeling.
Yeah.
It has everything to do with one person.
We are back in the car. It got very cold very suddenly. Nothing paranormal, just entirely the sun going down. So we took the Slavery at Monticello tour. And while our tour guide was very knowledgeable on the subject, I think he kind of went in a particular route because I got the feeling that somebody on our tour, it was that woman, I feel like she never heard the narrative of how enslaved people were treated and how dehumanizing it was. And I think this was actually a huge wake up for her. And so he kind of like took that and really ran with it. So I clocked it, 21 minutes of the tour was us sitting and him like kind of going on and on about answering questions, which that was good. I was just kind of like, lady, I don't know if this is the place for that, but I'm glad you had this experience so that you understood that there were no good slave owners, period.
It was the emphasis on property.
Yeah.
Not people, property.
I'd say too, as far as the tour goes, what I did appreciate about his delivery was he stuck to facts and he stuck to statistics. And he was talking about how Jefferson, one crazy micromanager, like he had to draw out everything on his estate, on his plantation. Everybody had to follow a bunch of rules. Like it was just ridiculous.
He had to have his hand on every single piece of his property, even as far as there are fields that are so far out you can barely see them through the tree lines, but he'd planned how they would be ran and planted. Every inch, every rock was destined.
And can we just point out, he wasn't even good at making money because he was in so much debt when he died.
$180,000 in debt.
Yeah, which was the equivalent of $2 million. And he had to, like, his descendants had to sell his house, and all of the enslaved people, all the families were broken up because they were all sold to different places and stuff. And so I'm like, you just were a crazy micromanager. And for what? What is, like, we have your legacy. You were involved, like, you know, in the founding of this country. But I'm just like, dude, that's not respectable that you spent a bunch of money on really fancy stuff and then you died in debt because of it, because you had to be fancy AF. And he enslaved 600 people at different times while he was here. He only ever freed 6 of them. And what I appreciate about that tour guide was he was like, look at the statistics, look at the math. Or no, he only freed 10 of them. 10 of them total. And I'm just like...
And I did learn something new about him keeping really hard track of how many people he had and what that meant to like his voting power. And then
Yes.
I had no idea. The
forgotten
electoral
about it.
college, they counted as a percentage of the electoral college when they were when calculated, and I didn't know that.
Yeah.
They were constituted as people in the wording,
Mm-hmm.
but we're not people.
Right.
Because they were collected as property.
Yeah, they were considered
property
property.
percentage, pretty much. I had no idea. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I learned something new today. That made me upset.
So, yeah.
I have a pounding headache in my eyes right now from where, over yonder. Oh
Yeah.
my god, my head hurts now.
We also just went to the burial ground of those enslaved, which it just sort of seems like there are no markers, no individuals. It's just sort of, that's where everybody went, which is heartbreaking. I am glad that they are holding space for that place and that they have a little sitting area for descendants to sit with their ancestors. I did not do any filming there because it was not my place to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But we did go there. We left coins, just at the edge. I felt like we were being watched, not necessarily, like, I felt a few individuals around, but it was also like they were tied into a larger spirit. Burial grounds have guardian spirits, and I think also the descendants and those working Monticello bringing people together to recognize those people, that strengthens the guardian spirit. I didn't get any bad vibes or anything like that. It was just sort of like, what are you doing? And we made the offering, we asked, and then we left it just on the edge.
Buried it, made sure nobody would touch it, take it away.
Yeah, I just wish that, you know, when I left it, I was like, use this to however you will, the energy, to wherever you need to be, and I see you, you know.
Coming back down after being up there all day, the energy just switched entirely.
Yeah. I would be very uncomfortable here at night, particularly in the woods.
I was thinking about that. The darker it started getting, the more the sun was descending. I was thinking, God, I need to get out of here.
Yeah.
Like,
I feel like up on the hill where Monticello is, it's a quote safe spot because they don't want to leave, because they know if they step off, they're in trouble. And when I say they, I mean the enslavers, straight up. So, yeah. This was a necessary experience, I would say.
I've never actually been on a plantation before.
Oh, wow.
I avoid them.
Yeah.
Mostly.
Yeah.
So I'd never been on a plantation before. And I did not know how to prepare myself for how it was going to feel to be here. So coming here, it's just in the dirt, it's in the trees, it's in the rocks, it's all present and here. And then you go to the other side, you go to the house, and then it's a completely different, like, little bubble in and of its own, but they're terrified of everything outside.
Yes.
And I was not prepared fully how, even though I grounded and I was ready to come in and do this,
it does.
It punches you right in the gut.
Especially here, because this is a huge plantation. I mean, in the South, there's plenty, and I've been to many before of various structure, but this one would have been like a mega plantation. It was huge. 5,000 acres.
Think of this and the step up as a corporation.
Yeah.
More than a business. This is a corporation plantation. You have fields that stretch all around us through the mountains and the rolling hillsides. You have everything that's happening around the house. You have everything that's happening outside of the house. And then you just have one of the year's presidents.
Yeah.
Who's there.
Yeah.
And it's just like, this is my home.
Yeah, it's still like he's still it's so full of himself to be like, this is so great. It's so great. It was great when I was alive and it's great now. And it's just like, you do hear how they are telling more full histories. But the issue is, and this is what I have with spirits who don't age, so to speak. It's the whole, I know what I did and it was still right by me. There's no...
Well, you got to understand the time. You know, that's the thing that I always hear. It's like, you got to understand the time. No, I do understand the time, but that doesn't make it better.
It doesn't make them less of people, human beings. It's still slavery.
There are living descendants today who are welcome to come here to sit with their ancestors. They shouldn't have to have done that at all.
Mm-mm.
They shouldn't have to come to Monticello to pay respects to their family members.
And understand that they're out there somewhere. Just, I could go on about it.
I could just lose my...
So, Thomas Jefferson.
No on the J-Dog.
History. Not fun history, but history needs to be taught the full story as much as we know every time. So, yeah.
And it doesn't hurt to mention we've been here for hours.
We've been here 5 hours now?
Yes.
Yeah.
There is so much to consume. And if you are willing to take the time, take it all. Take every tour, do every greet, explore the whole place. Take your time, walk slow. Bring a coat if you're coming anytime soon.
It's windy up there. Like, it's like a 5 to 10 degree difference.
Take the house tour. Literally what you pay for is the house tour.
Yeah.
Everything else is free.
Yeah.
So you really, get the worth out of coming and learning so much and new things you never might have known before.
Yeah.
There's a museum, you just walk into it. There's food, drinks, there's all kinds of things here to kind of help keep you going forward.
Yeah.
And I really recommend that if something makes you uncomfortable to think about or do it anyway.
Yeah. So we are going to get more comfortable in a warm space and get warm food and beer. So
heck yeah.
Thanks for watching. Yeah, this turned out to be a whole thing. Was not expecting it. Thanks for watching. And I'll tag who you are and everything below since I didn't do an official introduction.
I'm not evil.
This was supposed to be a 60-second TikTok and it turned into a long YouTube. So see you later. We're gonna go have warm food and beer.